sanctuary, child. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Woo, child, it is a lot going on, girl. It is too much going on. It is just too much going on. Y'all see what the headline is? Maybe thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, because I probably done blew all my notifications because I done went live once today. Then I done been all up on my community wall, and all that counts as a notification from YouTube, and you only get like 3 notifications from YouTube per publication on the platform. So I done blew my notification, so we're gonna have to counter that by thumbing up the video, y'all. So thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. If you're new here, subscribe, all that good jazz. We got to get into episode 1 and 2 of Baddies Midwest, which premiered tonight. I just got finished watching the Tesehki Chasity and Chrisean Rock conversation from the infamous Midwest trailer that everybody was reacting to, girl, where these allegations against Tesehki enter back into the group chat. It's a lot going on, so we're going to talk about it. All right, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, everybody. Run those thumbs up, bully those thumbs up. You're going to need the thumbs up. It's $3.99. It don't cost you nothing. If those masturbating fingers can work, girl, when you're playing with yourself, when you're scrolling through social media, when you're writing into the chat, they damn sure can work when it comes to that thumbs up button. So make sure that you guys are hitting that thumbs up. All right, make sure that you guys are also subscribing. If you're new here, shout out to all of the new subbies who have been finding me all up in the algorithm. Shout out to YouTube for doing their damn jobs. Also, make sure that you guys have your notification bell set to all. And last but not least, please share the stream out to whatever it is you have in the community, whether that be your YouTube community wall, your MySpace, your Instagram, your Insta story, your Facebook, the dark side of Twitter, Tumblr, or your personal OF. I don't really give a damn where you lay the link. Just let them hating assholes know that we're loud, real live, and we're certainly in color. With no further ado, let's go ahead and push on through.
I know a place where you can recharge your soul.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
And in the midst of brokenness, he gon' see your asshole.
Baby, that's Consciouztv.
You gon' heal, you gon' laugh and catch a little shade.
Ooh, girl.
Y'all know he be slaying, y'all better stop playing. Come hear what he's saying.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, what's going on, you guys? Let me speak to everybody in the sanctuary. What's going on, JJ Love? What's going on, Foodie? What's going on, They Love MJ? Hey, Boo. Hey, Charity the Gift. What's going on, Sin? Hey, both my sins. We got both of my sins in the building. What's going on, Topaz? Hey, Lady D. What's going on, Ian Gardner? What's going on, Lawana? What's going on, Charisma Miss Stark? What's going on? Hey, everybody. So let's get into it, y'all. My computer died. This should not be too long, but we got to get into it. I really kind of want to drop the link as well. I don't know. But we'll see how all that goes. Once again, please continue to thumbs up the video because my notifications are actually shot at this current moment. What's going on, Alfreda? Hey, everybody. You guys know that the Kang's birthday is also just 13 days away. Honey, the Kang has risen and will be a old nasty piece of 39, child. I'm officially 1 year. 1 year younger than 40, baby, and then it's up. I will be officially in the new 20 era next year. But you know, we got one more chapter to go before Miss 40, which is this big old 39, and I'm super excited about it. You guys know there's a lot going on with Chrisean Rock, Tesehki, and her whole family. Happy early birthday. My birthday is officially on the 15th. It's on the 15th of November. But y'all can get started early with donations, okay? $ Consciouztv, spelled just how it is here on Cash App and or paypal.me/Consciouztv. Consciouztv spelled just how it is right up over her. All right, November the 15th, big dick energy, period. That's right, foodie. So you guys know we've been covering everything going on with the Chrisean Rock Tesehki situation. You guys know that Tesehki, who is Chrisean Rock's sister, you guys are familiar with Baddies, Zeus Network. Chrisean Rock is Blueface's baby mama, ex-girlfriend, etc. That there's a lot of drama that played out some previous seasons ago between Tesehki and Chrisean Rock that led to a major breakdown. Last year, a part of that breakdown encompassed Tesehki and other relatives, such as her older sister Charity and Charity's son Tristan, who is Chrisean and Tesehki's nephew, along with Tristan's sister, accusing Tesehki and various other members of their family for molesting them. You guys know, a year later, fast forward, Zeus puts out a super trailer last week for Baddies Midwest that showed Chrisean Rock in a sit down with Tesehki. She had her baby, Chrisean Jesus Jr., and she once again accuses Tesehki of making her eat Tesehki's for JJ while she was only 7 years old. So there's a lot of anticipation around this season of Baddies Midwest, and there's a lot of conversations that I had. Now over here, you know, of course, every conversation that we have can turn into a very substantive dialogue, and we've been really dealing with the issue of just molestation in general, ancestral molestation and rape, etc. We had a crazy amazing panel the last time we spoke about this that encompassed both victims of rape, of molestation, of interpersonal violence, as well as we even had people who had perpetrated these crimes against their own relatives hit the panel, girl. This is what I want for my platform. That level of transparency, that level of community dialogue, because man, that show was everything. That was hands down one for the books on this platform for 2024. You know, I had to put that in my favorites, and I might have to chop that up a little bit and outsource that out to social media, because that was a really important conversation, and I was so glad that so many people from both sides of a situation like this came forward, the victims and the perpetrators alike. So Baddies Midwest dropped tonight, and so I'm not going to review the entire episodes. I'm just going to tailor my commentary to the Tesehki and Chrisean Rock dialogue. However, I'm going to ask you guys now. Hey Sam, hey boo, what's going on? Rumors and Tea. Hey Lady Pack, hey y'all. I am going to ask y'all now though, do y'all want me to review this season of Baddies Midwest? The reason why I don't bother reviewing Zeus shows, me and Reckless did review I think the first season of Bad Boys. But the reason why I have not reviewed any of Zeus's shows outside of Bad Boys season 1 is just because it's not really a lot to really review, in my opinion. It's just really a bunch of debauchery and a bunch of stupid ass fighting. You know, I really don't know what else you can say over and over and over and over and over again, because the content itself is pretty redundant and low vibrational. However, I don't know what this season is going to give, and if you guys want me to take a swing at attempting to draw commentary out of it, we can do that, but I'll let you guys sound off on if you guys want that content. If you do, then just let me know in the comment section of the video, etc. And you know, all of that. Now I'm going to show you some of the clips that are already circulating and percolating from the first 2 episodes. I think Zeus dropped 2 episodes. They dropped episode 1 and 2, so they gave you a double whammy to get you real good and massage and really plugged in and sucked into this season of Baddies Midwest, which I will be watching, even if I'm not going to review it. Zeus Network has become a guilty pleasure. Oh, that's another reason why I don't like reviewing Zeus shows, because Zeus is trash. It's just the debauchery and exploitation of it all for me. So I really don't want to give them no free for promotion like that. So, you know, watching it in my personal time is very different from actually reviewing this shit and bringing attention, girl, to this ish. But check out this clip courtesy of Neighborhood Talk, which posted a clip about an hour ago, so you guys can just see this, and then we're going to talk about what happened between Tesehki Chasity and Chrisean. All right, let me share my screen here. Thumbs up, you guys. Thumbs all the way up. I need big ups on the thumbs up. All right, check this out.
Y'all telling me stories I've never heard, Chrisean. Why would you be in my house if I ever did some weird shit to you? This is not making sense, bro. I'm making sense. I'm done talking. Y'all about to piss me off, man. When I cry, I clutch. I'm done talking. This is crazy. She's saying everything, but at the same, this is how we going forward. You're a monster, bro. You're a monster.
All right. There is another there's another clip as well, of course, courtesy of Neighborhood Talk, covered by Fair Use. Let's check this out as well.
I still got to
You jumped in my face? They jumped in my
face when I got on my Sprinter. What are you talking about, Chrisean?
I'm talking about... Okay, I'm a liar.
You're a liar. When I got on my Sprinter, just like Camila said in her confessionals, Tesehki was jolly when she got on it, because I thought we was already done. I gave you my set at that show. I literally was like, hey, you can perform, because those bitches was throwing eggs at you. And I wanted to show them, hey, you're not ready to disrespect my sister. Even if we were just arguing on the Sprinter. One side is saying, hey, y'all never talk. Yes, it is. I don't know why you don't remember. I'm going to help you. Maybe you impaired, but I'm going to help you remember.
I remember when I was 7. You made me eat your pussy. I remember that too.
You said what?
All right, that's for those of you who have forgotten. Okay, what was in that initial super trailer, girl. So, the episode opens up with Natalie and some of the girls sitting down, get straight to the point. Tesehki, Chrisean is there, and you know, she wants to have a conversation. There's some drama also going on right now with Natalie and Chrisean. Natalie had put out a statement in passing that Chrisean had asked to be back on Zeus, and that she had asked to, you know, be able to get to fit in somewhere on Baddies Midwest, you know, to get a check or whatever, to get a lick or whatever. The fans ate Natalie and her chin all the way up, you know, claiming that, girl, you know damn well that Chrisean did not ask Zeus for anything, that it was Zeus who came running to Chrisean, you know, trying to get her to be a part of the show. Let's not even do that, girl. There will be no Baddies really without Chrisean. She is the meat and the potatoes to Baddies, etc. Natalie Nunn retorted back and kind of doubled down, but then I think Chrisean Rock like issued a statement saying that she indeed did not ask, that Zeus came to her about being a part of this season, and that she asked for a very healthy sum in order to run it down for Zeus on this season, and Zeus obliged to how much it would take for her ass to make a grand appearance, and she deposited her motherfucking check. And here we are. All right. So there's that. So the season opens up with them confronting all the shit that Tesehki feels that Chrisean has done to humiliate her, from getting her jumped to the shit that Chrisean and other relatives, you know, put out about her and accused her of, etc. Now, in the scene, initially it's just Chrisean, Tesehki, and Chrisean Jesus Jr. Then Chasity enters the chat. Okay, Chastity's in the building. She is a sister of Tesehki and Chrisean, and she also is one of the aunts who Chrisean and Tesehki's nephew Tristan accused of essaying him when he was 7 years of age. Tristan said that he has received an apology from 2 of the uncles who violated him, but that he has not received any apologies from any of the aunts, with the exception of Tesehki, who was only 3 at the time that he was being violated. And he made it clear that Chrisean has never touched him, violated him, and that she was too young to even understand what was even happening. So she don't owe him nothing. And he also said that she had been violated herself. So there are other people aside from Chrisean who is saying that she was violated. There are other relatives that are also corroborating that she was violated, just like she's corroborating that other relatives were violated, hence Tristan. Matter of fact, she was the person who dropped Tristan's name. That's how Tristan ended up basically coming forward and corroborating that, yes, Tesehki, along with several other relatives, abused him, and apparently his sister has been abused. And Charity, one of their older sisters, who is the mom of Tristan, also, you know, she's aware that her children have been violated, and I think she's had her own experiences too, girl. So it is a shitty mess over in the family. So Tesehki is upset. She is wanting an apology from Chrisean. Apologize for getting me jumped. Apologize for this smear campaign that you and you and the family conspired against me, etc. Chastity, for the most part, is kind of just, sitting quiet with her penitentiary braids. And I wasn't really surprised that Chastity didn't have a lot to say, considering that allegedly she's one of the abusers. So, it made sense to me, girl, why she was mostly on mute, because kind of like, what really can she say, honey? All she can really do is hold the space, if indeed these accusations against her are in fact true. So she really didn't have a lot of input. I think her only job really was to keep Tesehki from beating the hell out of Chrisean Rock. But Chrisean Rock made sure to double up on security by making sure that she held on to Chrisean Jesus Jr. the entire time, baby. Okay? So as Tesehki is going through all this stuff, Tesehki, is talking about, she would never do this to Chrisean. She would never get her jump. She would never, have bitches conspire to getting her hurt. You guys know a few seasons ago, there was a big throwdown between Chrisean Rock's besties, Marsha and Ambrosia, and Tesehki. Tesehki wanted fair fade because they kind of had jumped her initially, and she beat the hell out of them both. Tesehki says that she saw proof that Chrisean had set her up to get jumped by her ex-best friends. Tesehki says that the evidence came from from cell phone footage of a fan / assistant of hers, who had footage of Chrisean and Tesehki on stage partying together, having a great time. And apparently Chrisean's besties had asked Chrisean, who needed to be jumped, who needed their ass whooped. And Chrisean had answered them and said Tesehki. And Tesehki is claiming she saw this footage and knows that Chrisean conspired to get her ass beat. Chrisean is like, yeah, no, not true. But you feel it's true, so what now? Do you want to move on or nah? Tesehki like, nah, bruh, put the baby down so I can do what I came here to do, what I really came here to do, which is to get active on your head top. Okay? Chrisean also accuses Tesehki of trying to change the narrative. She claims that Tesehki hid the GoPro footage of Tesehki getting very aggressive with her on the sprinter prior to her getting jumped by Marsha and Ambrosia. I know that Ambrosia is not that girl's name, but I just love saying Marsha and Ambrosia from Floetry. So she claims, Chrisean that is, that Tesehki was all in her face, bumping her, being very physically aggressive, like she wanted to hurt her, knowing that, you know, she was practically pregnant at this point. Da 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 da. So Chrisean was feeling away. Tesehki, in responding to Chrisean, inadvertently admitted that her and Chrisean were just arguing on the sprinter prior to the egg situation. Chrisean had got eggs doused at her head when she stepped off the sprinter by fans. You can see the eggs hitting the side of the SUV. And what's interesting about that is, when I was watching that episode, I was wondering like why Chrisean seemed so dazed out. She just kind of like walked off the sprinter with her damn baby bump protruding out, and there was like all these projectiles flying past her face, and she wasn't even acknowledging the projectile. She wasn't even like looking, you know, in the direction that the projectiles were coming from. She wasn't even like blocking her face. She was just like had this tunnel vision, and she was just looking straight ahead. Like the security and shit had to like haul her back into the sprinter and shit. So it looks to me that there was definitely something that had happened on the sprinter that led to Chrisean getting her ass off the fucking sprinter. And da 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 da. And Chrisean claims that the confrontation on that sprinter between her and Tesehki was kind of physical on Tesehki's part. And once again, she accuses Tesehki of hiding the GoPro footage because apparently, like, production couldn't find like the GoPro cameras. Apparently, Tesehki hid those cameras, destroyed those cameras because, you know, obviously she would never live it down if she was shown in that light, getting aggressive with her pregnant ass sister, and that Tesehki did this intentionally so that she could pretty much control the narrative. All right. It's a lot going on. Chrisean. So what I want to say about the fight before we get here. Hey, DJ. Hey, Darren. What's going on, boo? Hey, Sonny. Hey, y'all. Hey, Son said she needs to focus on that baby on period. Okay, so this is what I want to say about the fight. I do believe that there was a confrontation. And I do believe that Tesehki was getting, you know, she was probably bumping her and doing all of that rah shit. Now, I don't believe that Tesehki would have put her hands actually on Chrisean because Chrisean is pregnant. But I also can agree with Chrisean that even doing all of that is too much. Bitch, get out my face. Get off my body. Don't even be bumping me. Don't do none of that. Tesehki was out of order. I do believe that all that transpired because we know that Tesehki is rah-rah. And we know she's ha-ha. And we know she loves to put her hands on folk. And she loves to get active. So, you know, when you choose to be an active girl, you really don't get to pick and choose when you want people to believe that you were sitting there like Mother Damn Teresa. Plus the entire season between her and Chrisean was very tense. There was a lot of tense moments between her and Chrisean, a lot of contentious moments. It was just a lot going on, girl. So I do believe Chrisean. Now, because it wasn't an actual fight between Tesehki and Chrisean, it was just them having a verbally confrontational moment where Tesehki was making some physical advancements, but she never threw no blows. She never pushed Chrisean down, but, you know, she was bumping her. I'm not sure if that is enough to warrant getting Tesehki jumped, but I can understand as a mother you're pregnant and your sister, out of all people, is doing all of that to you, that may really hurt really bad emotionally. Even if she ain't throw no blows, girl, but just doing all that and bumping me is enough. Pregnant women already hormonal as hell. Pregnant women already in their feelings like hell. So to Chrisean, you know, I'm sure that her being pregnant just amplified what all that was for her. But getting her jumped, I wouldn't have got my sister jumped. You know, obviously, if Tesehki wanted to put her actual hands and really injure Chrisean, she would have did so. She could have slapped her, she could have punched her, she could have choked her ass up. You know, if that's what her intent was. Clearly, her intent was not to do that, but she was being aggressive, and she shouldn't have even had been aggressive. She know Chrisean Rock is ignorant, and now this ignorant bitch is also pregnant. Okay, so ignorance and pregnancy together, girl. You know, just let Chrisean have it, girl. This, you know, just charge whatever she doing to the game. You know, give her grace for 9 months. You know, and then see how she acts afterwards. And then if you need to yoke her ass up, do what you gotta do, okay? But the girl is pregnant. You know, I'm not gonna be in my sister's face and all pregnant and bumping her and doing all of that. It's not necessary. It's really fucking stupid. And if you knew you wasn't gonna do shit really to begin with, then you don't even need to be doing even that much. So just fall the fuck back. Okay? Now, when Tesehki asked Chrisean for an apology about getting her jump, Chrisean once again is like, yeah, no, you know, I mean, like, girl, do you want to move forward? Basically, like, girl, ain't going like, so Chrisean is ultimately really doubling down on the situation. She ain't got no regrets. She, after looking back, still don't see nothing she need to apologize for. And I'm assuming that means that she felt like Tesehki should have got her ass whooped accordingly, because she should have never been bumping her and getting in her face while she was pregnant, and knowing that she can't really swing back and fight back and da and trying to fake punk her ass and take advantage of her while she's pregnant. Then they get back to this whole molestation thing. They're going back and forth through it and through it and through it. Tesehki then says, you know, if I did this to you while you were 7, why did you even come to live with me? And then Tesehki brings in her friend who's not in the scene. She's like standing with production, but she steps into the scene and they blur her face out. But her name is Shavante, who is Tesehki's friend. So Shavante steps in and it's like, Chrisean, why you bringing all this shit back up? Back up. Why you bringing all this stuff back up? You know, you bringing it back up obviously to hurt your family. Why would you bring this back up? Why would you bring it back up on TV if y'all had already resolved this stuff and, you know, in the family? Why bring it back up? Now, the words that really stuck out to me is back up. The verbiage back up. Why are you bringing it back up? You guys know we played one of Chrisean Rock's live streams from a year ago where Chrisean first made these allegations against Tesehki. And in that footage from a year ago, Chrisean says that, you know, they had all kind of dealt with this as a family and everybody had decided to, you know, put everything past them, and that she didn't even want to put Tesehki demons out here like this, you know, but she was tired of Tesehki running narratives on her, going on her press tour, talking shit about her, while she was really trying to stay, you know, keep her name out of shit. She wasn't even speaking on Tesehki, but Tesehki was being antagonistic. So when Tesehki went low, she went to hell by bringing these allegations up. And that's when she had dropped Tristan's name and all of that. So to me, Shavante or Shavante, ghetto ass names. She corroborated the fact that this isn't the first time that Chrisean has said this. She basically corroborated the fact that all the stuff that went on in the family had been addressed at some point, like Chrisean had said a year ago. She pretty much corroborated everything that Chrisean was saying. And it was kind of weird to me because Shavante was like there to obviously defend Tesehki and to have Tesehki back, because apparently Shavante is one of Tesehki's like childhood friends, and she was kind of around when they were growing up and da-da-da-da-da. So, you know, she knows a lot about the family and the family dynamics and what has happened. But what Shavante ended up doing was really corroborating all of this, which is not working for Tesehki's innocence. I know that's what Shavante didn't mean to do, but she inadvertently ended up corroborating Chrisean Rock's allegations from a year ago and today by saying, yes, this stuff had been dealt with, this stuff had been said, you know, so why is all this shit coming back up again? Why is it coming back up on TV? Blah, 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 blah. Girl, it's a lot. So that stood out to me. Chrisean Rock alluded to something really bad happening even to Tesehki's son that Tesehki refuses to acknowledge and talk about. And her point in bringing it up and alluding to what had happened to Tesehki's son was her, you know, saying, you right here talking about I was drinking while pregnant with Junior, which Chrisean Rock denies. Why the fuck you won't talk about what happened to your own son? Why you won't talk about what happened to your son? You know, and I'm not going to say what happened to him, because why would I do that? So why are you sitting up here lying about me drinking while I was pregnant when you know I wasn't? When you know that I never had actually drunk from the bottle? When you know that I have never been drunk around y'all and was pregnant? You're just lying. So since you want to talk about my son, talk about what happened to your son. But Chrisean Rock never gets into the details of what exactly happened. And I guess we can only put two and two together that, you know, he was probably violated is where it was getting at. Now, Tesehki also was feeling away about Chrisean saying that, you know, she brought Tesehki to Zeus. Which, I mean, as far as we're all concerned, that's obviously the fucking case she did. I don't know why Tesehki has a hard time giving Chrisean credit for basically putting her on and bringing her to Zeus. Tesehki has been on a press tour since her and Chrisean fell out, saying that Chrisean was jealous of her and never wanted her to be, you know, put on. Da-da-da-da-da. But once again, here it is, Tesehki's childhood friend, Shavante, comes in inadvertently corroborating everything that Chrisean is saying in her defense, because Shavante ran down a grocery list of how Chrisean was big supportive of Tesehki prior to Zeus. You know, she was saying that, you know, Chrisean was, you know, always at the studio with Tesehki. She was always at Tesehki shows and blah, 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 blah. Which proves Chrisean's point, bitch, that I'm not jealous of you. I was never trying to hold you back. I've always been supportive of you. I'm the one who even introduced you and brought you to fucking Zeus. I brought a lot of bitches to fucking Zeus. Like, why would I be jealous of you? But I say Shavante ended up inadvertently corroborating Chrisean's point, because Shavante brought that up because she was trying to argue to Chrisean, why are you bringing up all these allegations and all this stuff that y'all had already put behind y'all that happened in the family? Because prior to Zeus, you were so close with Tesehki. You was always at her shows. You was always in the studio with her. Y'all were like freaking frack, etc. And Chrisean is in the scene like, yeah, bitch, that's my whole fucking point. So then how the fuck am I jealous? If even you are sitting here saying, girl, I've always been supportive of my big sis. Shavante need to be fired, girl. Tesehki, fire Shavante as a friend, baby. She thought she was helping you, girl. She really only helped the defendant in this fucking case, baby. Throw Shavante ass away. So we got 2 points up for Chrisean, 0 down on Tesehki so far in this whole confrontation. Chrisean responded to Tesehki saying, you know, if I did this to you, Chrisean, when you were 7, why did you move in with me eventually? Chrisean replied to that and said, because when she told Tesehki that she didn't want to play house anymore, and she got old enough to know right from wrong, and that there was something really wrong about this house thing, this house thing that even Tristan kept talking about, that they would dress up the SA by playing house together. She said when she got old enough to know that this is something that should not be happening, she told Tesehki that she didn't want to play house with her anymore, and that Tesehki had stopped. Okay? And to Chrisean Rock's point, Chrisean had already admitted, even in her live stream last year, that, you know, they had dealt with all this. The family had decided to put it all behind them and move forward. I'm going to tell you what I think happens. I think what Trisha and Chrisean said happened. I think that the family did try to move on from everything, especially with the alleged perpetrators who were also young people and technically minors themselves. Even if they were teenagers, they were still considered kids. That they all tried to put this behind them because they all were minors. And that even the perpetrators, aka the minors, will also allegedly abuse themselves. So it seemed like those who were victimizing the family were very compassionate toward that point, that we were all children and y'all were all violated yourselves and y'all was doing to us what was done to y'all. Okay. I believe that Tesehki then, like, as she became older, she more than likely tried to make sure that she was there for Chrisean and there for, you know, her family in whatever way she could be, because it was her way of kind of making up for what had happened. You know, being a big sister, you know, she grew up and hopefully grew out of perpetrating that type of stuff against anybody, even though Chrisean is making accusations that something happened to Tesehki's son, but sitting that aside. And I believe that Chrisean has been supportive of Tesehki, because I think that even though allegedly with Tesehki violating her, this was still her sister. I'm a part of a family who, the generation above me, my elders, some of them were violated by other relatives. And I've seen the way that the family kind of swept things under the rug and everybody just tried to move along, and how, you know, the perpetrators and the victims are still in relationship to each other. You know, they break bread together, they celebrate holidays together. You wouldn't really know that anything had ever happened. So I know that it's possible for families to, despite this level of violation, being able to forge ahead, and forge ahead in a way that makes it appear as though everything has been forgiven and that nothing ever happened. Now, whether it's been actual forgiveness that led to that, or whether the very strong practice of denial and just not dealing with the actual injuries and being escapists that led to that, I don't know. In Chrisean's own words, in her live stream last year, she said the family confronted it. Everybody agreed to move on, forgive each other, blah, 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 blah. Now, they're older. Those violations happened way back when. The family, you know, has moved on. Nobody's, quote unquote, holding it against Tesehki and whomever else. There's other dysfunctions happening, aka Tesehki feeling betrayed by Chrisean because Chrisean had her jumped. Even though they don't agree on the context for that happening. Tesehki now, because she feels violated by Chrisean, is holding Chrisean accountable. And she wants Chrisean to make it right. Chrisean does not care to apologize. So I think two things are happening here. And this is coming from somebody who believes the allegations made. Is that two things are happening. Chrisean more than likely never truly forgave Tesehki, which doesn't really surprise me because most people don't actually know how to really forgive people. Most people just make ignoring the problem equivalent to forgiving the problem. Ignoring your feelings about something is not the same as forgiving the other person. Not dealing with what has happened is not the same as forgiving what happened. But a lot of people who practice in one of those two things will equate that to forgiveness. And so a lot of people don't really know that they haven't really forgiven a person until something else happens that possibly triggers them to go there. I think because Chrisean hasn't really forgiven Tesehki, she just tried to go along to get along and sweep it under the rug to not have to deal with it, because that seems easier to do on the surface than actually confronting yourself and confronting the situation. So when she gets Tesehki jumped, she doesn't feel the need to apologize to Tesehki because in Chrisean's psychology, either consciously or unconsciously, Chrisean is really saying to herself, you got some nerve holding me accountable after what you put me through, after what you've done to me. You got some nerve. And if somebody has been victimized, hasn't actually healed from their victimization, and then they end up in a situation where they have done something wrong to their perpetrator later on in life, that victim will resort back to their own injuries at the hands of that perpetrator, and then sometimes use that unresolved injury in themselves per that perpetrator to justify not taking any accountability in a separate situation with that perpetrator that has nothing to absolutely do with what happened to you when you were 7 years old, but you will rely on that in order to deflect from accountability in this new situation 15 years later, 20 years later. That's why I had to say what I had to say when all this initially took place in the trailer, because Chrisean said in her IG live last year that she had forgiven Tesehki and put it behind them. And she said, I really didn't want to do this to her, but I'm tired of my name being in her mouth practically. And so that gave me the justification to hold Chrisean Rock accountable for forgiveness, because you're only saying this to Tesehki's friend point, Siobhan Trey, because you're just deflecting. You're only bringing this up to deflect from the situation at hand right now between you and Tesehki. You're not bringing this up because you're re-triggered per se to your own plight. We dealt with this as a family at the time. I put it behind myself. That's reflected in everything Siobhan is saying. I was supportive of Tesehki. I supported her. I lived with her even after all this happened. Boom, 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 boom. And because Chrisean Rock is immature anyway, she's immature naturally as a person. She is dysfunctional as a human being. She has refused to grow up. She's refused to take accountability and to really ascend to the level of maturity that she needs to ascend to, especially now as a mother and an adult woman. That's compounded with this thing between her and Tesehki that she can rely on as a justification to never have to say sorry to Tesehki for anything, because she thinks that Tesehki doing that to her when she was 7 and while Tesehki was a teenager is her personal get out of free jail card anytime she's out of order on her end. And nobody is above personal responsibility, like personal accountability, including Chrisean. It's not fair for Chrisean to knowingly have forgiven Tesehki, buried that, put them behind them, because they were both children. And I'm assuming that Tesehki took whatever responsibility she should have at the time all this was confronted as a family. Even Tristan admitted that the family also dealt with all this and tried to put it behind him. Boom, boom, boom. He just felt the way about all this shit coming back out, his name being dropped. So hell, he decided to tell what happened since it came out of Chrisean's mouth. Since she the one who dropped his name and brought all this back up, he just decided to fill in all the blanks. But you don't get to use the worst thing that this person did to you, that you chose to forgive and move on from, and then stay in relationship to that person. And then anytime you're wrong afterwards, you get to deflect from under the guise of, well, look what you did to me. Therefore, it doesn't matter if I hurt you. It doesn't matter if I steal from you. It doesn't matter if I bring any type of injury to you. It doesn't matter, because you did what you did to me when I was 7. You cannot claim forgiveness and then be in the business of perpetual retribution against the person you've forgiven. Now, if Chrisean had never forgiven Tesehki, then it'd be a whole nother standard set for Chrisean. If Chrisean had never put it behind them, stayed in relationship to the person she forgave, that sought her forgiveness, whatever the case may be, and then did it right, then that would be a whole separate reality. I wouldn't be sitting here saying what I'm saying, because Chrisean never forgave Tesehki, and she never said that she did. Therefore, if she's still mad to this day, then she's just still mad to this day. It also wouldn't justify her using this to deflect, but at least there's no objective measuring rod to hold Chrisean to. If Chrisean's narrative would have been, I'm still hurt about this, I'm still struggling with this, this has not been something I've been able to get past, this is something that I have not been able to heal from, so then that at least creates a context for her regurgitating it back up, and her bringing it back up on CNN, bringing it back up on Zeus, bringing it back up in a book, bringing it back up in a movie, bringing it up in whatever guard she's going to do it on. But once you have established you forgiving someone, and you've extended that forgiveness to that person, and you've remained in relationship to that person, and y'all forge ahead, you don't get to perpetually condemn them. Once you have established that covenant, that new covenant with a new blood before them, you just don't get to do that. Which then gives Tesehki the right to protect herself from Chrisean, because there's nothing more that Tesehki can do other than have owned it when she owned it, repented, stopped her behavior toward Chrisean, and then went on to treat her lovingly and to treat her how a big sister treats a baby sister. Tesehki at this point would not owe Chrisean anything. Because we've already established, we've moved forward. We've already forgiven each other. And this isn't even so much about you bringing up the specific thing that I allegedly did to you. This is more about you establishing that you're not a woman of your word, that you have low emotional IQ, and that you don't believe you should ever be held accountable for anything, because in your mind, you are forever the victim. And anybody who is justifying really bad behavior under the guise that they are a victim is a very dangerous person emotionally, and a very dangerous person mentally, and can potentially be a very dangerous person physically. This is where we get the old saying, hurt people hurt people. And I ain't talking about Tesehki outside of the Chrisean thing. I'm sticking to the Chrisean and Tesehki thing. I'm not talking about Tesehki's behavior with other people and all of that. This commentary is isolated to what's going on between Chrisean and going on between Tesehki as it relates to this molestation thing. I think that this is just what happens in any group, any family group, any system, when people don't have the actual tools to navigate trauma and affliction. When we don't know what healing really looks like, and we really don't know how to properly unpack what has happened to us, what has been done to us, or what hell we have done to someone else, we have no other thing can happen but it's default to a wobble. It's not going to be totally right standing because we don't know what the fuck we're doing. It's like driving a car without no training. A wobble. You can stay on the road, but baby, you're going to be zigzagging and horrendously on that road because ultimately you don't know what you're doing. And unfortunately, forgiveness is a science like everything else. Love is a science like everything else. Virtue and compassion and empathy and forgiveness are sciences. They're art forms like everything else. And if you don't know what that really looks like, what forgiveness looks like, when you don't know what type of conversations you really have to be able to have with yourself, what type of conversations you need to really have with the person that injured you. If you're the person who's done the injuring and you don't really know what conversation you need to have with yourself as the abuser, when you don't have a frame of reference, all you can do at best is try your best. And sometimes trying your best still ends up in shit. Which is why we have to encourage people to not lean unto their own understanding and to not lean unto their own devices. People need to be encouraged to seek literal help. People need to be encouraged, and we need to normalize therapy and actual counseling with people who have been trained to reconnect and realign the emotional, mental, and material body again after there's been severe psychic injury. That is not an easy task. The psychic injuries of SA, of rape, of emotional abuse, of abandonment, of neglect, of domestic violence, of etc., of narcissistic abuse. These are not things that people should be on their own about, even though most people are, because they either don't know that there are resources available to them to treat their afflictions, or they don't have the resources to have their afflictions treated. And in turn, this shows up in all type of dysfunctional ways in our lives, such as the nephew Tristan, who is aware that a lot of his childhood trauma has to do with him dropping out in the 7th grade, his relationship to crime and criminality and being in and out of jail, his anger, his temperament, his rage. The same way that we can see from Chrisean Rock that clearly this girl has been through something or some things, because nothing about her makes sense in terms of coming from a healthy upbringing. She had 2 absent parents and a drug-addicted mother. And then SA and incest were all rampant throughout the whole family. You had young people having to be substitute adults. And then wonder why those young people who were forced to be surrogates and forced to be substitute mothers and fathers also fell prey to being victimizers. It's terrible. And so I can also understand why the family, knowing that their family was out of order, that even the young perpetrators didn't really have a fair shot because there was nobody protecting them from the elders and the people that were abusing them, and abuse became perpetual and pathological. So I can understand why the family just said, look, wrong was done, shit been out of order, shit was rotten to the core. You and you were also minors when this all shit happened. Let's just forgive each other, put this shit behind us. We all were victims. Let go and let's let God. I can understand why they did that. Because the abuse and the dysfunction is too complex. And they didn't know how to navigate it aside from, at bare minimum, recognizing that some of the abusers were abused themselves and they were young people themselves when they were commencing to abuse. So they rendered as much compassion as they could to each other. But now all this shit is coming back up. And it's either coming back up because Chrisean is actually triggered, or it's coming back up because Chrisean is being egotistical, and she knows she's forgiven her sister. She knows that these things do not affect her proximity to her sister. She knows that she feels safe and, you know, with her sister, but she's wanting to win one up on her sister. And as the old saying go, when you go low, I'm going to go to hell. And she's going to use the worst thing in Teseki's history to slingshot back to her anytime she wants to shut Tesehki the fuck up. Not even because she's hurt by what she's bringing up, but just as a means to shut Tesehki the fuck up. Now, of course, in all of this, Tesehki is saying she's innocent. My thing with Tesehki and her innocence is, and I'm gonna tell you, I believe the allegations against Tesehki even more, just based upon the whole arrangement of this conversation. If Tesehki is deadbolt innocent, and yet is upset because one of the worst allegations you can put on someone have been put on her at the hands of her sister, I don't even understand how the fuck I can even remotely move into a conversation with you about you getting me jumped by two hoes I beat the fuck up in return. Instead of all my energy going into, bitch, what you claim I did to you when you were 7 years old. There couldn't even be a space for the conversation about Chrisean getting me jumped, baby. If that bitch had to put that level of allegation on me, girl, I honestly don't even give a fuck about nothing else, girl, because we can't even pass go and collect 200 yet. Because just that thing alone is literally going to require its own repentance, especially if it's not true, especially if it's in fact a fucking lie. Girl, I don't give a fuck about you getting me jumped by your weak ass bitches. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit that happened on the Sprinter. I don't give a fuck about none of that. Bitch, you said I did what? You and Tristan, you and Charity said what? That's the whole season right there. There is no other conversation. So I don't understand how the fuck Tesehki could sit in that restaurant, how she could sit there outside of Red Lobster, even being able to move into that conversation after Chrisean had gave her ass to kiss, even on the whole molestation allegation thing. Girl, once Chrisean couldn't lift up off of that. She couldn't repent for that. She couldn't recant that, knowing that that shit is not true. Girl, the scene is over. I'm not talking to this bitch about nothing else. Her getting me jumped, to me, is lightweight compared to this allegation girl that you done fucking made. And then other relatives done came forward and also motherfucking made. And this shit is all over Zeus, all over the blogs, being heard in 50 other damn different countries. And I'm a public figure whose ability to be sponsored and to be endorsed depends upon the quality of my brand. And here it is, you made these allegations knowing they weren't true, which can injure my ability to make money outside of Zeus. Because of course Zeus gonna take anybody. So it don't matter who the fuck you is. You can be a PDF file, you can be a colorist like Erica Mina, you can be any, you can be the worst of them, girl. If there's any network you can confidently rely on being employed by, it's gonna be Zeus, baby. Okay, but if Tesehki want to have life and sustainability and long-termness and being a pseudo celebrity, and she want to be able to make money as a public figure, then you know what you were doing and lying on me about those allegations. Yeah, see, me and you can get over us getting jumped, bitch. You getting me jumped once again is light work. But what you came forward and said, bitch, on social media and now on this fucking network, and then refusing to say that you lied, girl, you're actually impacting my bottom dollar. You're literally taking food off my fucking table. You're taking food off my family's table. I don't understand how Tesehki could also give a fuck about her issue with Chrisean getting her jumped when a bitch done said something disegregious about you. I don't understand it. And it's what makes me lean toward the fact that this shit is probably true because, girl, I'm sorry. I'm not even sure if Chrisean Jr. Jesus could have saved Chrisean ass if I was Tesehki. I'm not sure Chrisean having that baby in her arms, baby, would have been enough. But I'm going to also say this is another thing that makes me lean toward the allegations being true. It's been a year now since those allegations have come forth from Chrisean and Tristan and Charity. Tesehki has had a year's worth of time between those allegations and the filming of Baddies Midwest to file a civil suit. And once again, I wouldn't have gave a fuck about no Zeus Network contract because at the end of the day, bitch, y'all can have it. I'm not going to live with a jacket like this all my life without fighting for my fucking name, bitch. And no amount of money and no amount of a contract with a network is going to keep me, bitch, from fighting for my name. Because at this point, my actual name and reputation is on the motherfucking line. So I wouldn't give a fuck about what's in the Zeus Network contract that we can't sue each other, ... bitch. I'm just going to have to owe Zeus whatever I'm going to have to owe her for breaching the contract because I'm going to have to sue this bitch on period. And I'm going to have to sue Tristan and everybody else, bitch, a whole class action suit against the whole family. Secondly, she's had a year's worth of time between those allegations being first published and this scene for Midwest. Why didn't Tesehki come already with the lie detector test in her hands? These are all things she could have done to exonerate herself. Tesehki should have never even sat down in this scene before she had them sat down and taken a polygraph. Why the fuck has Tesehki not cleared her name, just aside from being in comment sections talking about, woo child, if I was who I was or used to be, this would have went totally different. But yet you want to be in the actual scene crying, upset, mad, but you ain't mad enough to sue this bitch or Chrisean or Charity. You ain't mad enough to take a polygraph test. You ain't mad enough to sit down with Zeus Network producers and say, hey, I'll sit down and take a polygraph test along with this bitch. Put us both through a polygraph, just like Blueface and Chrisean put each other through, as it relates to the paternity of their child. And you know what's another thing now that I'm thinking about that's interesting about that polygraph scene between Blueface and Chrisean? Chrisean had denied ever eating pussy. But one of Blueface's questions to Chrisean was, while she was on the polygraph, was, have you ever eaten pussy? The polygraph test detected deception. Chrisean still tried to backpedal and pussy pop and act like something was wrong with the machine. But what if her eating pussy, according to the polygraph, was because the pussy that Blueface didn't realize he was actually asking her, did she eat, was actually her own sister. And that's why she never counted it as so-called eating pussy. So technically, no, I have not intentionally ate coochie in a consensual way with someone else who was appropriate for me to be engaging in oral sex with. But what if, but regardless of the context, that polygraph was going to detect the truth nonetheless. And maybe that's why the polygraph picked up on deception, because Chrisean was holding a secret that maybe she hadn't even had told Blueface, and that there had been this SA molestation event in her childhood, but because it was at the hands of her sister and it's in the context of molestation in SA, of course she's not going to count it as a sexual experience. She's not going to count it in the context in the way that Blueface is asking, have you ever been with a girl? But because the polygraph is not there to detect context, it don't understand context, all it understands is truth and lies. And because Blueface didn't tailor his question to be more specific, all the polygraph could do was answer in a blatant yes. Yes, she has. Put her mouth on for JJ. But going back to Tesehki, why is she not doing anything aside from the bare minimum? But yet she want to be in front of Chrisean, hooting and fucking hollering, and so mad and angry she want to beat her up and beat her down. But you're not mad enough, bitch, to take no substantive action, because even beating Chrisean's ass does not debunk what these people are accusing you of. And putting your hands and feet on them don't debunk accusing them of anything. And this has all been a year's worth of time that she had time to file suit accordingly and or to take a polygraph test. I mean, I wouldn't want this to be true about Tesehki. But Tesehki isn't doing a lot to dispel this. And her relatives are continuing to double down. Tristan and Chrisean have not changed their story. And then to make it worse, once again, Tesehki had her childhood best friend, Shavante, on fucking set, basically corroborating the fact that shit had popped off in the family, had been dealt with, and it shouldn't be coming up now because all the stuff, you know, the family was supposed to have put behind them at the time that they agreed to put it behind them. The friend wasn't upset because it was a lie. The friend was upset because it was coming back up. The friend was upset that it was coming back up after the family had decided to move past the shit. All the circumstantial evidence is given that Tesehki did this shit. And it seems to me that she keeps trying to add in the whole "you got me jumped" thing to distract from the SA thing, the molestation thing. Like, it's her way of trying to get us to not hear that thing in the room. Tesehki's so mad, she want to fight people, but she's not mad enough to file a silver suit. She's not mad enough to take a polygraph test. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just sad situation. I'm gonna drop the link. We ain't gonna be here all night, so I'm gonna drop the link. If y'all got something to say, come up here and add to it. I'm gonna read some comments while you guys are hitting the link. I just dropped the StreamYard link. To join the discussion, hit the link. And please make sure you guys are thumbing up the video chat, because we have been working our ass off all day. Okay, let me read some of these comments. Valkyrie says, that's a lot. I can honestly understand why Rock aired that ish out on TV. That's some horrible ish. 14 is old enough to know better, absolutely, and be tried as an adult. So what can she do? Tesehki can file suit, and she can take a lie detector test at the very least. Jewel says, I wouldn't say anything to provoke her either. Back to someone recently lost a tooth from the roots. My God, today. Lady Pat says, girl, Latifah is not going to take no lie detector test. Her ass is going to the grave with that tea. She fights girls that's not from the streets, because you already know that the girls from the streets would have been going toe to toe. She didn't acknowledge the encounter. She felt she didn't want to be nasty with her, but she wasn't letting her off the hook. Mookie says that, but the friend who gave was blurred out, literally confirmed what was said. So it just all makes sense to me why she ain't filed no suit. Right. And that's what I'm saying. The friend, Tesehki need to fire her friend, girl. Her friend corroborated practically everything that Chrisean said, which was crazy. Very telling. The publicist also says she stood in power and she withheld other things that could be harmful about her kids, and how Tifa is now dating their sister's ex. Oh yeah, I forgot to hear about that. And that's what I'm saying, girl. But see, that don't surprise me, right? Because this whole family always lack boundaries. They lack boundaries. Everybody like boundaries. If there's already incest and, you know, shit going on between each other that shouldn't be going on. Tristan said that Tesehki was in an incestual relationship to some of the uncles. They was kissing all in front of them and hunching all in front of them and shit. So I'm not surprised that, you know, the lack of boundaries continues to result in all of this, you know, dating your sister's ex-boyfriend. That's wild as fuck. But it's also indicative, girl, that a lot of shit ain't right in this family. This family don't know no boundaries. Incest means that boundaries have been obliterated. Man, I would have been holding my baby too. Tesehki just knocked out a tooth. Baby. She can't take legal action because she signed a contract. Yeah, I was saying, fuck that contract. She can take the contract. She can file suit. It's just going to be consequences. It's going to be a breach of her contract with Zeus. So once again, you take your L's, bitch. I'm not picking and choosing. between my name and a bitch put a jacket like that on me. Bitch, we're going to court, period. Period. Point blank and a period. Ain't no motherfucking Zeus contract, nothing. I'm just going to have to owe Zeus what I'm going to have to owe Zeus, which is all that will happen if she breached her contract. Zeus would just be able to hold her financially liable for breaking that contract. Zeus can't do shit. It wouldn't be criminal. They would just have a civil claim with her. And they probably wouldn't even press the gas, honestly, on Tesehki, because they would look crazy in trying to penalize this girl for defending her name and her reputation, given these circumstances. So it probably wouldn't even be a consequence that they would even enact. Hey, Rumors NT. Hey, boo. Welcome to the platform.
Hey, Conscious. Hey, Conscious crew.
Hey.
Now, I want y'all to thumbs up the video.
Please
And don't forget to lay your offerings at the throne for the
purry.
king of his hard work he's been doing on this fine Sunday.
Baby.
Oh, okay. So where do I start? Okay, so first, that's a red flag for me when it comes to Zeus. The contract, that's a major red flag. And I know that most of these individuals that are cast for these Zeus shows, to me they're like low vibrational individuals that's so desperate to get a bag and seek fame that they're not even understanding that they're really selling their souls. I don't know if whether or not they understand or just don't care. Like they're just so desperate, because I would never sign a contract that tells me I cannot sue someone when it comes to bodily injuries. I know they sign on to come up there to fight and things of that nature, but like what happened with not getting off the topic, but like when it comes to what was the girl name that Tesehki knocked her tooth out or whatever, like when it comes to those extreme measures where like I'm literally leaking or my character like is being defamed in any way, like you're not going to tell me that I cannot seek vindication in a court of law. So that's a red flag. But nonetheless, this is what they signed up for. All right, now you said something that really made me want to come up and speak in regards to people really needing to seek professional, medical, psychological help when you've had traumas, especially severe traumas such as SA, incest, things of that nature. I don't know if people really understand the damage that it does to your brain, how it really scrambles your brain. And I had put it in the chat. It's like a computer. When a computer gets a virus and it infects the computer where it's not doing what is the norm, what it's programmed to do, which is like our brain, right? You have to take it to someone that's professional to have them. I mean, even if you reprogram it yourself, if you don't know what you're doing and resetting it and to reprogram it or whatever, you're going to have problems. Yeah. And that's what I see when it comes to Chrisean and now her family. These people are savages, and I have empathy for them because I understand, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna call a thing a thing. Right. They are savages. They are savages. They're literally human beings walking around living an uncivilized life. And that's kind of, like you said, that's dangerous. Chrisean is nowhere near healed. I don't honestly believe that Chrisean is even on a healing journey. I don't know if she sincerely wants to be healed, because her brokenness has, in a sense for her, has seemed to serve her in a way where she can at least provide for herself and now her child. But I don't think that this young lady really understands that she needs the healing. I'm the same for Tesehki. And even for the nephew, although he spoke, he articulated himself somewhat good. I don't think, I listened to what he said when you in the
Mhm.
other live streams. Even him, some of his talking points were very obscured. And I just see a whole toxic ass savage family that are just out here existing. And we have a pandemic, or not a pandemic, an epidemic of that in our community. There are literally families just like this family in the droves.
Uh-huh.
In the droves. Like, the only thing that is different about them versus the ones that we see every day, some of us every day in our community and even within our own family, is that these people have a reach because they're on TV and they're getting the exposure. And for me, although I don't like that it's on TV, I can appreciate that it's on TV so we can have these discussions.
Yeah.
That a lot of people talk behind the scenes and not out publicly and have an outcry. So for the awareness purpose, I definitely am appreciative of this. This happens. This has been happening since we've been brought, probably even before we've been brought here. Okay, unwillingly, and it's so sad because when you did the last live and you had all the people that came up and was telling their stories and things of that nature, it really was like it is so common.
Yeah.
It is so common, and no one is challenging the call outs of the predators that's doing this, no matter the age. I think there is a way to do things. And that's my issue with Chrisean. I will never victim shame her, but I also think that when it comes to children violating other children, there needs to be, it needs to be like a delicacy there. I don't know if that's the right word to say, but I do feel like it should be handled without such aggression, because obviously kids don't just wake up today and start, even though we do know, let me make this clear, children do experiment. Every child that experiments has not been victimized.
Right.
However, most of the time, in most cases, they've been exposed in some sort of way, whether it's been done to them or they've watched it. I think there should be a safe place where they can be confronted in a healthy manner so that this can be corrected. But when it comes to the adults, because I clearly believe there has been adults involved in this,
Oh
clearly,
yeah. Oh yeah. That's what attrition said. Mm-hmm.
they need to be called out immediately. I don't give a damn if it's your son, your daughter, your best niece, nephew, favorite cousin, uncle, auntie, granddad, mama, sister. I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
Because by protecting and keeping it hush hush, you are a part of the problem. You're complicit. And in a large sense, conscious, for me, I feel like if you don't call this person out, if you don't make it known that this person is that way and they inflict this type of pain and harm onto other individuals that cannot, first of all, when it comes to children, they cannot give consent.
Yeah.
Even if they're willingly participate, they cannot legally give consent. If you know that this person has these characteristics, you should call it out every single time. If you're not calling it out, you're basically pimping. You're assisting. You're enabling this behavior. And I feel like those type of people need to be able to be held in charge criminally as well. Because at the end of the day, who are you standing for? Who are you standing for? I wouldn't give a flying kite if it was my brother and I knew that he was victimizing someone. I would speak out. I would speak out. My conscience wouldn't allow me not to speak out. It could be my child. I would speak out. Because when you don't speak out, you're just allowing the virus to continue to spread. It's going to be a continuous thing.
It's a poison. Yeah.
But then you have, like I said, you have these people that are victimized. I saw, me personally, I saw and I was just grateful. Like, I didn't fear going to counseling or anything because my mom always had us. I was like, I always give her credit. One of the things I love to give her credit for, she always kept us in all type of counseling. I mean, we went to see psychiatrists, psychologists. We went to family therapy. We went to, you know how they have support groups, free counseling, or mentorship programs. We always had access to these things. So for me, it was never a fear. Actually, I felt more comfortable talking to the strangers than I did my family for a long time. I could say to them what I could not say to my family.
Yeah.
You know, and that was a breath of fresh air because I knew I was going to be judged in a way where it was going to be weaponized against me. But what it helped me do was learn to break down. And even since I've been affiliated with your platform, I even went back into counseling. And I promise, like, to have the self-awareness I have today. That's why when we talked some lives back about me being healed with the Kirk Franklin, when he was talking about his mom and stuff, I realized that I was literally truly healed because I wasn't triggered. That's why I know Chrisean is not healed. She's too easily triggered. And that commentary when you spoke and said how she you said she forgave her, but she didn't forgive. She just basically, like, I'm summarizing now, she just ignored it. Just to move along to get along. A lot of people do that. They don't know what healing looks like. Healing is not just about necessarily forgiveness, but just understanding and humanizing a person and ultimately letting go, not forgetting, but letting go, releasing what's holding you hostage, because that's what trauma does. It holds us hostage. And I just look at her whole behavior. I look at Tesehki's, her, like, they're so quick to want to fight. And they you don't see them regular fight. Now, we all be like, oh, Chrisean got hands, oh, Tesehki got hands. But it's very brutal. Look, what Tesehki knocked the girl tooth out, Chrisean knocked James' right tooth out. And guess what? I saw the fight with Tesehki and what's her name? Bad whatever her name is. I saw that. I saw that fight. That girl wasn't even putting up that kind of fight with Tesehki. She didn't even bring that type of energy with Tesehki for it to warrant Tesehki knotting her face up and knocking her tooth out like that, splitting her lip. It didn't even warrant that.
And technically, it wasn't Tesehki that knocked her tooth out. It was Brianna.
I watched the whole reunion. I watched the whole reunion more than one time. That was when she fought that. I think she fought, if I'm not mistaken, it was 2 more girls. But I focused more on the Tesehki fight. But when she fought like 1 or 2 more girls after that, it was Tesehki that did the damage.
No, it was proven that it was Bianca, because Bianca, after Tesehki had punched Diamond to the ground,
Bianca didn't fight her. Bianca fought the girl.
No, when Tesehki had punched Diamond in the body and she fell on the ground, and it's also in the reunion, Bianca had kicked Diamond in the body in the mouth with her steel toe boot. And then there was footage that came out later of Tesehki big upping Bianca for kicking for kicking a Diamond in the body in the mouth with that steel toe boot. That steel toe boot kick is what actually knocked out Diamond in the body.
Bianca when they fought Mariah Lynn?
Yeah. If you look at the reunion
I'm
again.
gonna go back and watch it, but I don't want to get off. I'm gonna go back and watch it.
I mean, but it doesn't take away from your point that Tesehki resolve things
Just
in
brutal. Just brutal. Yeah, like it don't be regular fighting.
and she did a
And
bust her lip like wide open to the meat.
Yeah, for me, for me, even the reunion prior to that, when she was fighting the other girl, E.T., it was the aggression. The aggression. So I can tell that they grew up in an environment where they got their damn heads knocked off their damn shoulder. And probably was told they better not cry, they better not say a word. I can guarantee you that's the type of environment they grew up in. I see no love in neither one of those young ladies. I don't. I don't see softness. And it's okay to be stern and brolic, but there's an energy attached to them that is beyond demonic to me. It is so dark.
Yeah. Truly.
And I know that it comes from the trauma that they've experienced. I can imagine, like with all, like we talked about it before, with the mom being an alcoholic and on drugs, and I guess the father had some type of issues, substance issues, I'm assuming. Just knowing all that we do know, what they entailed in their life. Like, I can imagine that from the womb, this is what they inherited, and it was just fed, it was fostered, it was nurtured in a bunch of toxic ass darkness. And my heart really goes out to Chrisean's baby. It really does, because I don't see brightness for him as long as he's attached to them. I don't see it. But I'm gonna I don't know who else is that. I can't see the names, but I'm gonna let them talk.
It's Ty who says that she is a therapist, and she's up here, and I am looking forward to your perspective. Before you chime in, Ty, I want to speak to a point that you brought up, rumors and tea. That's been my fear too. Like when you said that, I think you said something to the degree of Chrisean, and like you don't believe that she's on a real spiritual journey. I really hope she is. I'm also concerned that because addicts sometimes really experience a placebo when they're going from one feel good thing to another feel good thing, and it's not really about transformation, and it's not really about the sincerity of the thing they're using as a catalyst for their healing. It's just more so about the actual feel good, and that will leave you at a very surface level in your healing journey, which can then lead you to being very vulnerable when it's time for those real tests and trials of your healing to actually manifest in your life. And then you find yourself going under because you were at surface level, just feeding off of the serotonin and the dopamine hits that you were just getting from this new thing that you really only replace with your previous addiction. It's not surprising to me that a lot of addicts go from their addiction to religion, because a religion offers its own dopamine, serotonin hits as well. But if you're not careful with religion, and you're not careful about not letting that be surface and really getting into the work that religion can offer, that spirituality can offer, if you don't really use it to develop introspectiveness and emotional intelligence, and you don't really use it to help you transcend the things you're trying to overcome, then that also won't be enough either. Your Jesus will have Kool-Aid instead of blood. And with her coming back to Zeus, I'm worried, because if Chrisean was really trying to cling to a real sobering salvation And she's really being adamant about protecting the work she did while she was in prison, which helped her to sober up, helped her to get access to some resources, to community, to have time away from her trauma, to have time away from her old life. I'm just like, why did you allow Zeus to talk you back into that? And why did you put a price tag on your salvation? Like, if I'm going to come back, y'all are going to have to pay me this, quantified amount of money. That's really concerning to me, because if she was willing to find a compromise, because I'm okay with maybe Zeus giving her the show God's Plan, because that show is supposed to literally center around her actual salvation, her healing journey, her doing the work, her relationship to Christ, her newfound relationship to God, da 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 da. Okay, cool. But allowing Zeus to be able to talk her into Baddies, which is a show that does not revolve around any of the things that Chrisean is trying to have in the rebrand of herself, that's concerning. And because she was willing to bite the apple again because of the sweet temptation of the devil, and return back to Baddies even for 1 or 2 episodes to get into debauchery, it concerns me what's going to happen to her when Blueface gets out of jail, when he gets out of prison. Because if she can rationalize that with Zeus, then to me it screams that she's still very much so compromisable. And the real test of Chrisean's stability and sobriety emotionally and mentally is going to come when the biggest kryptonite of her life is accessible again and tangible again, which is a Blueface. So I am concerned. I don't think Chrisean is pretending to be on a spiritual journey. I believe she really probably does believe she's on a spiritual journey. But I know, like a lot of people with money and fame, they oftentimes, unfortunately, are surrounded by a lot of yes men. And there's probably not anybody really helping to fight for Chrisean and to really help her even to have a good grip on spirituality and her healing work, to tell her, hey, please think twice about this check. There's deeper implications about you going back to that particular show, and there's deeper implications to you being willing to be brought and paid. That's about something much deeper, and I want you to think about that. I want you to think about what your real motivation is. I want you to really think about why. I don't want you to just make this about money, because if that's what you're going to make it about and that's what you're going to leave it at, ultimately you'll fall victim to anything again. You've got to utilize this as an opportunity to have some integrity about the work that you're doing, and some seriousness about the direction that you're trying to take your life in and try to take your son's life in. And this is an opportunity for you to be a woman in, because this TV shit, it broke you down. It compromised your mental health and your well-being. It rewarded you for very bad behavior. It acted as a motivation for you to stay in a DV situation with a man, because y'all were getting paid absurd money to be dysfunctional and to continue on in the exploitation of y'all's dysfunction. You and your sister are in breakdown because of the things that played out on reality TV, the situations that put y'all in together. Chrisean, you need to think about this on a deeper level. And you need to really think about your relationship to money in light of where you're going, because there is a such thing as good money and bad money, and all money is not good money, no matter how much of it is. And there should never be a price on your sobriety. There should never be a price on your peace. There should never be a price tag You shouldn't even allow that to be even optional. And there's some real concerns if you think that that's optional. Like, it's clear that nobody is really helping her and holding her accountable. I feel like she's still on her own for the most part, and because of that, she is liable to still make a lot of poor decisions, not even intentionally, but people can only do the best with what they have, and with the attitude and the community they have around her. And yeah, I'm concerned too that this may not last too long. But I want to welcome Ty. Welcome, Ty, to the platform. You are a therapist, as you were saying in the chat. What are your thoughts? What's going on, Sabrina? Hey, Boo. Hey, Travis. Hey, all y'all in the chat.
Thank you so much, Consciouztv. Can you hear me?
Hey, yes, I can hear you, Boo.
Okay, awesome. I am not super verbal. I usually just get in the chat and troll, but
as a
yes,
therapist, you're not super verbal? What?
Because I talk so much all day, all night.
Got it. Yeah, I totally get it.
But yeah, so I am a mental health therapist, and I clung to Chrisean on Zeus. I was kind of introduced a little bit later after she had met Blueface. I didn't on Zeus, I didn't follow beforehand. So, but what I noticed about her was like she kind of reminded me of myself a little bit. I entered the profession because of my own trauma. Therapists need therapy. So we have to kind of work on ourselves to kind of get to the point where we say, oh, I want to give back, Anywho, and Chrisean, I didn't even know anything about any type of abuse or her family history and things like that. But she just seemed really broken, even though she appeared to have it together to some extent, and being on TV and things like that, and her family dynamics. And I learned more and more and more. Anywho, I just feel like at this point, everything that she has is so layered. So we have unhealed trauma, obviously, at this point. We have money and fame. We have a family. We have the vulnerability of everyone knowing your issues and it all being exposed and being embarrassed. Like, all of those are things that she's kind of putting out there. But I feel like the first couple seasons, she was masking that with substance use,
Yeah.
She was heavily intoxicated for a chunk, a chunk of time. And I was just like, this girl she's broken. Something is going on. When she broke in his house and was writing blood and all that, writing her name in blood and all that kind of stuff, still in his car. It was kind of like a sabotage of all the things that she kind of accomplished up until that point. But I do agree with a lot of what you guys already have said, so I won't, double back on that. But
Okay,
I
so let me
also
tell you this, because I got some direct questions, like, for you.
let's do
Like,
it.
how? So, because I was just talking to my friend about this yesterday offline. I said, and I was using what they were. I said, what do you do in a community where you have accusations and you have no empirical evidence, but you have anecdotal and you have circumstantial? But okay, can you give us an example of what a healing conversation from your line of work and based upon your style of therapy would look like between a abuser and a victim?
Well, I would never put them two together in a room. Start there. That's not healthy. But in court, they could possibly go together. If either of them decided to press charges. But outside of that, I work with young girls. I work in a detention center. So I do work with some girls who are sex trafficked or sexually abused and things like that. And what I would do is approach it as if everything that they're telling me is true. Because at the end of the day, that is their perspective. This is their truth. This is what we need to work on. So how do you feel about that? Like how do we like it can be a double betrayal if you're telling your family your truth and
Mhm.
then they believe that they think that you're lying. Now I'm double betrayed. Does that make sense?
Yes, of course.
Okay. So there's no way to go back to Chrisean at 7 years old and get DNA, you know.
Right.
So we just have to kind of process the feelings in
Mhm.
that moment. And okay, so what is the family structure at this point? And maybe you need to build your own tribe and kind of get away from those people, you know, even though they are your blood family and this is what you're used to, because we are used to family dynamics. You know, you go to a wedding or a funeral or, you know, family gatherings and things like, there are still people in the family that you still like, is what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say, you know,
Mhm.
but the perpetrator may be there. And
Mhm.
then what? You know, and that's never a good
And that's why
time.
I asked you that question, because a
Mhm.
lot of, because I have family members who have been violated by other family members and
Mhm.
everything, and I have seen people, you know, remain in relationship and loving relationship and all of that. With you saying that, you would never put the abuser and the victim in the same room together, but with some victims actually wanting to get to a point of forgiveness, and they want to have the conversation with the person that hurt them,
Mm.
and they're even open to reconciliation, especially if the abuser is someone who they've actually known their whole life. It could be their father, it could be their mother, it could be their brother, it could be, somebody who
Yeah.
they are going to run into and see anyway if they continue to stay incubated in the community that that abuser is in. So
Mhm.
for them, they know they're hurt, they know they've been hurt, and they want that conversation. They
Mhm.
want that confrontation, and they're open to what the feedback is. But you would actually not recommend that. You would not recommend a victim attempting to uh communicate and navigate that relationship with you.
What I'm saying, well, if the relationship is actually repairable, like with Chrisean and her sister,
Yes.
then maybe, but there will have to be several sessions prior to kind of prepare them for
Mhm.
that. You know what I mean? And I think it is good to have that conversation with the mediator present, meaning a therapist, and in an environment where things can't escalate. We can't be in a parking lot. You know what I mean? So yes,
Mhm.
I don't recommend it, no, because a lot of times those relationships are not repairable, or there needs to be some level of separation. And maybe Chrisean had that separation when she was incarcerated for a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she was had some time to process, and now she's trying to just vomit words, you know,
Mhm.
and it just kind of comes up, you know. But I think that if they came together, and this is the other issue before I go. The other issue is that a lot of times the perpetrator is skittish about meeting with the victim. So we may have a victim who wants closure, who wants to talk, who wants to heal the relationship, but the perpetrator is so guilty and so skittish that they kind of avoid, you know, like they want to fight, like how Takeshi, or what's her name? Latifah.
Rafiki. Yeah. Or Tifa for short. Tifa.
Yeah, like you know, and I'm not saying either one is right, or I can't say who's telling the truth. I can't even say
Right.
if it actually happened, but most times the perpetrator is the one who does not want to meet, unless they feel like they still have a hold over the victim where they can manipulate the whole situation.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's kind of tricky.
So you're saying that basically, like, this is why this relationship is never really going to work,
I mean,
because the
I don't
energy.
feel like there's a world where this level of violation goes away. No. We can have a relationship, but it will never be the same.
Right.
It will never be copacetic where it's like, I trust you around my kids.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, we can kind of meet and have that, but
Coexist, but
where do we go
yeah.
from here? You know what I mean? And those are the things that we would talk about in our private sessions with the victim, you
Mhm.
know? Yeah.
Is what a relationship would be able to look like in a hypothetical.
What would that look like? Yes. And do we go to family gatherings, and how long do we stay, and do we need an exit plan if things
And
go
what are your
south?
boundaries? Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
things like that, because it's not the same. And then you have to also have your own support system. That's why I always tell
yeah,
my clients who are SA victims, you know, you have to build your own tribe outside of your
yeah,
family. Like when you pick and choose who your tribe is, you know, you can pick safe people and things like that, and it does not necessarily look like the uh the family that you grew up in.
yeah,
It's about exposure and experience with other people that are a little bit more healthy.
yeah.
So I can agree to that when you said the violator does not want, or the offender does not want to
Mhm.
even confront, not be confronted or have the conversation, because that was literally my experience.
Mhm.
um and I'm unique, thank God, for how far I've come. I'm unique that I can be in the same space. But you're absolutely right. I do not trust, although I am healed, I am not traumatized by this person. There was such a level of trust broken that even though I can share the space at family events, funerals, and things of that nature, I would never trust that person around the child. And
Amen. Mhm.
that has been articulated. I don't, and I made it clear to that person directly, and also everyone in my family that I had a conversation with. This person could literally have done the work to correct themselves, can have whatever, plans. Because my therapist gave me the advice of not to trust this individual. Like,
Mhm.
I would basically, I'm summarizing, that I would be placing myself in a situation where I will be violated repeated. It doesn't have to be a physical violation,
Mhm.
but emotionally and psychologically, I will be violated, because most times, most abusers have a perpetuating pattern.
Mhm.
So what you're saying, I agree with. I saw it. I experienced it myself. Um, and I don't trust the individual. I just don't allow myself to be held hostage.
And you know what? I just want to chime in real quick, not to cut you off, but a lot of times victims try to heal the situation on their own by recreating it in some way, you know, by going and exposing themselves and being around that person again and hoping that they can trust, and it just doesn't work out that way. You know. So I
Right.
can see where Chrisean brought her sister in thinking that things would be, you know, cool, and you know, the fame and the money, and because when you don't have fame and money, you think fame and money will solve things. Then you get there and it does not. And you're like, oh crap. Now we got to go back to the drawing board, right? These problems are still here. I still feel the same way about this individual. So there may be regret about her bringing her sister in, knowing what she felt about her sister prior to bringing her in.
What, can I ask you a question? From
Absolutely.
your professional standpoint, what what in situations when it involves children
Hmm.
violating other children, what how do you tell them, like, because in this case that's what we had, she was older but not that much older, I think, what, like 4 or 5 years older or something,
Hmm.
like, in situations like that, what would be your advice?
Well, my stance on that is, even if they didn't intentionally hurt you because it was learned behavior, that does not diminish the impact. You still hurt me in a way that I did not deserve to be hurt. And you have to be accountable for that. And that's all I'm asking sometimes, is for you to be accountable for the fact that you passed on the trauma that you experienced. So Krishan's sister could have been molested and learned this from somewhere, passed it on to her, but you still impacted me. You know what I mean? And that's all that I'm asking. Is for you to acknowledge that you passed that on and hurt me. And a lot of
Yeah,
times victims do not receive that.
that's what I was going to say. Most times, we those are like myself. That's all they look want is the validation of the experience. Like, just acknowledge.
Yes.
And I guess my question. Well, you answered the question, but I guess I'm asking in a way like, because I view the children different from the adults, right? Doesn't mean that there shouldn't be any accountability,
It
right?
is different. It is different. It is a little bit different, but it depends on the age. So I also work in a detention center. I think I already said that, but we do have kids in our detention center who have molested their siblings. You still have to be accountable no matter where you learn that from. Even if so sometimes we have kids who um do things with animals, okay? To put it nicely. I know we on YouTube,
Hmm.
so I got to be careful with my words, but they come to us incarcerated because they did something to their family dog or the cat or something. We can figure out the rest once you're here. We can do some therapy with you. But on the front end, nobody's asking no questions about how you learn this behavior. Where did it come from? Are you a victim? You know what I mean? You did something to somebody that hurt them too.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it is different, but it's still it's sad because adults are more calculated. They're able to groom in a way that children are not. You know what I mean? So they can kind of get away with it. If they're manipulative enough.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, because especially if it, because for me, I'm like, when it goes untreated for a
Mm-hmm.
child, then it cannot be corrected, and then you have children that grow into adults that continue the cycle of abuse.
Yeah.
Um, and
Or
so, but I'm
sometimes
like,
you get adults like me, myself. I have been a victim as well, and I bear hug my kids. Like I don't let them do anything that I feel like could put them in potential harm because I know what the impact is. I'm living my life because of the trauma that happened. I'm living my life in a way, because of the trauma that happened to me when I was a child. You know what I mean?
it's in a
So
preventative way, yeah.
yes, and I feel like, does this run my life? Am I, as a therapist, I still have questions to myself, like, am I letting this run my life? Should I really dedicate my life to this? But I'm giving back. You know what I mean? If I can save one person, then maybe that's a drop in the bucket kind of thing. But it's so much out here going on. We have to protect our kids. And I wish somebody had protected me. That's why I understand the double betrayal, the confusion, the conflicted feelings of, okay, well, like they were saying, Takashi, what's her name? Whatever her name is.
Tesehki.
Tesehki. Tesehki was stripping to get Chrisean some cleats. Maybe she was doing that out of guilt. You know what I mean? And so she's thinking she's paying it forward and all is forgiven, but the actual words were never said. I or the actual action was never said. Like, I'm sorry for the things that I did to you that impacted your life. You can't work it off. You can't pay it off. The things that impacted someone when you violated them in such a way. Because at the end of the day, do you know how Chrisean lived prior to saying what she had to say and then going away? And you know what I mean? Like, she could have been sleeping with the door closed, picking toxic men because for whatever reason, her mother not there. She can't trust people. It's a lot going on. I'm not saying like I'm a Chrisean rider because I think she do a lot of stuff that's absurd. But the impact of it is so significant that it's confusing for people to really dissect. And that's why we here today. So did she forgive her sister? Did her sister really do it? Because if her sister really did it, then why would she have her around? The girl
But we
was
know
probably
we
conflicted.
well we know, even if not, we do know that we develop patterns because of what we for most of us that have been victimized were forced to be around the people that victimized us. We didn't have a choice,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you were a child and it happened. So you didn't have a choice, and you go on in life with the same pattern. So when people speak that way, even, and it's weird to me how as a society we like to victim shame victims in that sense when we
Mm.
all know that this is what happens. And some people, most people, are very comfortable in those toxic dysfunctional family practices, because it's what's familiar to them, even
Mm.
though there can be on the inside, as you would know this, on the inside there is something unsettling about it to your spirit. It's still what's familiar to you, so you just continue on in the practice. And that's why I'm a very like I champion and trumpet people going to get professional help.
Yes,
It
it's
is
familiar
important.
until you decide to address it. You can go in a cycle. We all go in cycles, picking people that remind us of the familiarity of our parents. You have a father that is emotionally unavailable, so you pick men like that. You know what I mean? And then you have a mother who's critical of you, and you pick a partner like that. And it's unconscious until it's conscious, until you go to therapy, and then we bring these things out of people and they're like, oh my God, like I didn't even realize that's what I was doing, because we're trying to always heal these childhood wounds. That's what it is. We always, and then with Chrisean, I really do think that there's multi layers of trauma. The men that she's choosing is for a reason. The people she has around her is for a reason. She wants to be validated. She wants to be the only one out of her family. She's finally getting praised and everything else. Maybe she was ignored.
Yeah. And I see, I'm not obviously I'm not a therapist. I don't have no
No, you
medical
good. Yeah.
background. But I feel like there is some type of, like, they're on a spectrum in some level. Like, I really feel like there's some mental health issues outside of just the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Because even when she talks, the way she articulates it, I listen, and my spirit discerns that, they're all kind of like on some level on the spectrum. I don't know to what degree, um and they're
I agree,
functional
because even when I looked at Chrisean compared to her now, compared to her before she got with Blueface and did the whole Zeus thing, she was very articulate. She was able to speak well. You knew that she had some level of education. It's almost like she transforms her, or she's like a chameleon to the environment that she's in. That gives you a signal right there that she doesn't really know herself,
hmm
and she has to conform to the environment that she's in, which is probably what she has been doing all her life, conforming to the environment that she's in just to fit in. Because we didn't have all this tattoo, ghetto face, talking crazy, weave down to the ass type stuff when she was doing the gladiator thing. We didn't have that before. She
right.
was very articulate, very clean, small, pretty girl. But she picked him for what? What is she trying to heal with that? And then he speaks for her and tells all her business the same way she tell all his business.
Well, it's
There's no way
unfortunate
you can
because,
tell me that you would be with somebody, I'm speaking for him, that broke into your house and did all the things she did, and the same vice versa, all the things that he did to her. There's no way that a healthy human who loves themselves would be in that environment. There's no way. They don't love each other. They don't love themselves. So you got two broken people coming together, and then you got this family all around, everybody broken. It's generational. This incest stuff is insane. It's a generational curse, and somebody got to break it.
yeah, she clearly trauma bonded with him. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
But I understand. Like, for me, I know that we as a society have been brainwashed that money is the savior. Money solves all the problem. If you obtain money, that is
Until
the
you
key and
get that
the
money,
answer
though.
until you
Until
get
you
it,
get
though,
that
right?
money and you realize
Uh,
it's not.
but she's so young that I don't think that she
Mm.
really understands that yet. but me personally, I still don't believe that she's on a healing journey. I don't think she understands what a healing journey really looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and for that, my I don't want to say, because I don't give up on anybody per se, but my heart right now goes out to the baby more than anybody else, because he's the only person in this environment right now that has no choice. He has
Yes.
no, like, he can't fend, he can't defend, he can't speak. So
Yeah,
he's
and
just,
he's literally, we all see it, that he's unwell. I'll speak to what you said about the healing journey. A lot of us can mimic a healing journey. We can do it in action, but does it really affect us? You know what I mean? Does it really penetrate our system when we're really taking care of ourselves? What we do behind closed doors is what really matters. And we don't really know what she does behind closed doors, other than what, maybe drinking, uh self-sacrificing for somebody else, going to jail. It's a lot of unhealthy things that we're already seeing, to where we understand. You can literally look at the girl, as beautiful as you are, and all the money that you have, and the opportunity that you have. You don't love yourself. Wow. And you don't love yourself enough that you didn't love yourself while you were pregnant with that boy, to bring him into this world healthy. You were looking for temporary fixes all along your pregnancy. You see, the trauma continues to impact her in every step of the way. And although she may have had the downtime to kind of process some things, but at the same time, you can't tell me that the people in whatever jail she was in didn't know who she was and was all on her back. There was probably a little bit of quiet time, but not a whole lot. And you come back
right.
out and you get the bust down wig, and you get the fame, and you get back on Instagram, and here go my baby, I'm gonna prop him up. It's a bunch of BS. Who are you really, though? Who are you really, and what do you really feel, and how can we really heal beyond what you've been through? If you're not being real with you, how can I be real with you?
Man.
Money does not save it.
What do you say to Mookie, who said, I disagree. I think she's on her healing journey, and that's why she came on there spilling tea instead of fighting her sister like what Zeus thought was going to happen, because that's why they created that scene, to have them two sisters fight. But then Chrisean did a reverse Uno and started yelling family business. And she also said in that scene that she wasn't going to fight because it's just not conducive to her mental health and to her spirituality. And she has people looking up to her for the right things at this point, and she's not about to come in here and act a belligerent, ignorant fool.
To
For
that, I would say a healing journey is not linear. We take 2 steps forward, we may take 3 steps back. She may be in a portion of her healing journey, but we can clearly see that it's not full. We're never fully healed. On top of, who would have that conversation that is so intimate on Zeus network with their baby in their arms?
that's what I was saying to begin with. The fact that she even was there.
Like it speaks for itself, when you really break it down and think about it. Like, yes, you look like you acting like da 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 da, I don't care about no followers, da da da, but at the end of the day, you're mocking the culture in the same way that you did before you went in. So you're going to get sucked back into it in some kind of way. So I'm not saying she's not on a healing journey. I'm just saying it's not linear. People think of healing as like, oh, I'm doing this. Like, it's not consistent. I have clients that I've seen for 4 years, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. But every time they go a little bit further, they go a little bit further. If you feel me, you know what I'm saying? So,
Mhm.
and then they knock themselves. Like, you have to give yourself a little bit of grace. And we are not forgiving as consumers of their content. We judge these people like they're not human. They are very human. money does not make you unhuman.
Right. I want to say, you said that was Mookie that said that.
Yeah.
Just because a person is not physically fighting does not mean that they're not fighting. That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Words can be just as damaging. Not to say that she doesn't have a right to speak her truth. The energy that we present ourselves, let's be for real. Zeus may have wanted them to possibly physically fight, more than likely physically fight, but either way, they knew even an argument was going to get them the views that they want. The salaciousness is salaciousness. Um,
And they
I
know how to
don't.
bribe Chrisean to get in there, and she can
Right,
negotiate her own situation. So she said, "Okay, I'll go in there as long as my baby can come."
right, right. Which again is question mark a big red flag, because as you guys have stated, who would take their baby into that environment to have
Mm-hmm.
a confrontation, even a verbal confrontation? Who would do that? There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot to be said um, about the approach of everything. Um, we like Zeus ain't offering healing. I
Yeah, and
haven't seen.
we also have to think about the fact that Chrisean grew up poor, so money is new to her. She doesn't necessarily know how to navigate this space, and we're all watching, very unforgiving, with trauma. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I definitely,
And
as
that's
a
why I'm giving
viewer.
her some grace because I know she's young. She's very rich. She's very famous. She's very unguided. And then that's quantified with all of the existing trauma and bullshit
True.
and all.
And if
So,
she's able to ever like be in a vulnerable state to go to therapy, I really do think that she could transform in a way that would be miraculous for her and for her child, and she would get away from that relationship. But it would take some work, and it's not going to be fun.
and this
And
all
I
I
don't know if
want
she's ready
her
for
to
that.
do is have, because all she got to do is use what she already did to get to this point. Think
She has to
about
be sober.
what was happening in that prison that
Hmm.
gave you the tools and the community and the wherewithal to be able to get out of that situation feeling like a brand new woman with a crispiness about life, and then you simply mimic that over and over and over and over again in your life outside of prison. So since Zeus was nowhere to be found, it should be okay, this is something that don't need to be included in my life diet because
Hmm.
I was in prison, away from Zeus, away from these producers, away from this, that, and the third. And that was a part of my clarity. So I just wish that she would just kind of copy and paste, because you've already now experienced a space that allowed you to get to this place. Now you just need to be disciplined enough. And that's where the therapy and the proper encouragement, the proper friends, the proper accountability partners in her life would help her to be disciplined and consistently holding on to the things that led to this work in her life and led to this sense of self and the sense of peace
Hmm.
in her life. And that's why
I
I
agree.
feel
And
like
I'll
she,
also say that I would have appreciated Chrisean, or I think I would have um looked at her in a different light if she had got out and just steered away from all of that. You didn't need that. You knew you didn't need, you know what I mean? Instead of going back into it.
So,
yeah.
from your professional standpoint, are there, in the entertainment industry, are there professional counselors and therapists that will that hold the integrity of really helping someone like Rashawn in that industry? Are there people like that?
Yeah, I do know some people that are therapists just for celebrities, and everything that they talk about with celebrities is confidential. You cannot, even with my clients, like I can give scenarios and stuff, but yeah, she can definitely get some solid, solid help.
Because I've
But
always,
it takes.
why I ask, not to cut you off, why I asked that question, because I've always, you see like these therapist shows,
Hmm.
and it just seems very, very like
It's a
performative.
joke.
It doesn't seem, yeah, it doesn't seem. And then some of these people are actually really professional therapists and counselors
Mhm.
that have practices, and it just does not seem, when it comes to the celebrities, it just does not
Because
seem authentic.
because you got to
I
think
don't know if that's
therapists
just
are
for
people.
TV.
Yes, because you got to think therapists are people too. Like it got on my last nerve when she went into therapy with Blueface and sat on his lap and was drinking from the Hennessy bottle or whatever they was drinking. That's not how therapy is ran. We're gonna get real. We're gonna get down to the nitty gritty, especially if they're not using insurance and you really paying. We're gonna get down to something. Like we're gonna make this first session seem like the last. Okay, because you may not come back. Okay, we gonna stretch this out to about 90 minutes worth of, let's be for real. But you're intoxicated, you're sitting on your man's lap, you're mimicking this whole thing, you acting like you're not engaged. Nobody's gonna play with you like that. Not a
Yeah,
real
so she,
therapist. I think it's a
yeah,
joke. Like it's a joke. But Zeus is out for money. You know what I mean? And some of these people are out for money too.
yeah. So that's my concern, that maybe she doesn't need to do it publicly. Like, I'm saying, everything should just be. She should take a break from the limelight, the cameras
Mhm.
and everything, and do it privately, because
Yeah,
I don't think that it will be taken serious as long as there are cameras there. It will just, it's, for me, it just all would seem very performative. Yeah, yeah, because that's what it feels like to me right now. It really does. That's
it
why
is.
I don't feel like there's a healing journey. And I could be wrong, but I personally don't feel like that she's on a healing journey, because it all just seems very performative.
It is. Yeah.
Hey, can I chime in?
Hey, homebody. Yes.
Hey,
Hey, it's Homebody. Hey, Rumors and Tea. I think it's Ty B
hey,
there.
homebody.
Hey,
Hey.
Hello.
I, so Conscious, I didn't even think that you were gonna do a live on the
Mm-hmm.
Baddies episode tonight. But then like I was up and I just got back from dinner with my boyfriend and I was like, oh, he's on. Okay, let me see. Um, and so um I did see the episode. And I'll tell you something that was well, there was a few things that were strange to me.
Yeah.
One of the things that were strange, and I apologize if it has been mentioned, definitely let me know it has been mentioned. But it was strange to me that Chrisean was wearing the same outfit that she wore in the promotion that Zeus did for her upcoming show.
Mm.
And so if you look on Krishan's Instagram or Zeus's Instagram when they announced her show, that's the same white outfit. I don't know if it's the same white outfit she wore when she was on with Jamal Bryant,
Mm-hmm.
but it was the same outfit. So I was wondering the whole time if this was filmed the same day.
It probably was. She had the same outfit. Yeah. It's probably the same day.
Yeah. Yeah. And then another thing, so if it was filmed the same day, then I guess she was tired, and then for Zeus to even have this conversation done, we don't know if it was before or after filming her show, but like for Zeus to have this all done in the same day is crazy. And then there were times where the the baby Krishan Jr. was in the footage, and I don't even understand I, how that happened with a topic that's so serious. Because had this happened on Bravo, MTV, WeTV, like there would not be like a baby on the set. Like this is just way
Sean
too
Rock was
deep.
absolutely going to have that baby on set because,
I know it was her protection,
yeah, it
right?
was the
Right.
only thing that she knew could
Stop
keep Tesehki from putting
from
her
beating
hands
it.
on her. She knew
And
that.
Zeus
Yeah.
is so ghetto. They gonna let her negotiate because they want her to be there.
Right, but then
Absolutely.
this all goes back to the Surviving Zeus Network documentary that we all know is coming out, but we're just waiting for it to come out. because like there's just so many things on this production set that are so wrong, which is why they have the advantage of being on a app versus a network platform or network set. Um, so that was weird to me, but also like I said, I do stand behind like people say things happen to them. I do support and believe the victims. But then there's also like the whenever you do make your statement as a victim myself, like whenever you do have make your statement, you have to continue telling your story. And so there was times in the episode when Tesehki was like asking Chrisean to like be more like specific or detailed, and she did look like she was aloof. Like she did look like she was, because this is more than the clip that we got for the preview of Baddies West, because they aired 2 episodes to carry on to it. And so there did look like Tesehki was like wanting to know more, and she was like shocked, and I don't even know if it was the way they edit it, but also shame on them for not even having a professional there to navigate this, because Zeus has had clinical psychologists there before, specifically on the Crazy in Love show with Chrisean and Blueface. Um, and so they could have also, I believe it was Dr. Ish they got on that show. They could have had Dr. Ish there. And I guarantee you, if Dr. Ish was there to mediate this conversation, he would say no baby. Like the baby can't be there.
But at
Like
the
we're
same
gonna talk
time,
about
Dr. Ish
it.
allowed her to sit there and drink from the Hennessy bottle while sitting on Blueface's lap. That was a
Right.
joke. It's not real
That's
therapy.
facts. That's
Like
facts.
real, like
Right.
when you really get to your rock bottom and you want to heal, you're not worried about no cameras being there. You're not worried
No,
about
but
none of that. Like,
I think it's different when there's a child there. Like,
yes,
and
but
whether it's
Zeus
like,
allows that because they want the ratings. They're like, what does it take for you to show up? Is what my opinion is. I don't know the truth,
And they
but
also specialize in outrageous TV. So of course,
yes,
this baby being there is completely outrageous, and
I
that's
think
what this specializes in. It's
this
outrageous.
showed that they have no
therapy is
limit.
not their
They
thing.
have
They're
no
not
limit.
trying to match with TLC and WeTV and all this. They want to be the most outlandish, and that's why this was a clip. I remember when I was 7 years old and you made me eat your like, huh? And then we supposed to just what? Now we all on TikTok and YouTube and trying to figure out the backstory because you put out this salacious clip.
Well, you want to let me tell you what for me makes it different, because like while Zeus is playing in these people's face and putting Krishan and her siblings on the show, they're also friends with them, or like appear to be friends with them online. And so they're leading them on to believe that they are looking out for them or close to them while it's just a show, but they're also giving them like that mindset like, oh, we do care about you, but then it comes back to a show, and since they aren't the most intelligent bunch, I feel like they don't even know the difference.
Of course they don't. And money is all up in between us. So it's the disillusionment of it all. Like Zeus are acting as mad musicians with these smoke and mirror games, and of course they are rewarding the girls with trips and their own shows and bags and
Popularity.
jewelry and checks and all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And like we've all been saying, because we're talking about a bunch of broke black people who came from nothing, of course they're not going to know the difference between.
And then you gotta say Consciouztv. Also gotta say views, and
It's all of it, you know.
yeah.
You have to just add anything in there. It's all of it. And it's ideal for dysfunctionality because it's dysfunctionality with the purpose of a check. I mean, dysfunctional people are living their best lives, getting paid to be the way they are. I mean, that's an ideal, like, just like people want to get paid for their art, they want to get paid for their talent. People want to get paid to be what they are with no incentive to have to change. So if you're telling me I
And
can be ghetto and ratchet and violent and just wild and you're going to pay me dumb loads of fucking money, I don't have a reason to fucking heal. Because first of all, if I heal, I'm not valuable to get here in this place where I'm being rewarded in ways that I never was in the so-called real world. And yes, so there's all this psychological manipulation attached to the involvement of money and all of that transaction.
But Consciouztv, let me ask you this question. So where do you think Chrisean would be if she was healed and the only thing she had was just her and maybe Junior?
It will only be two places she would be in, and you already named one of those places.
Yeah.
She would be in the obscurities of society, nowhere to be seen or found again, because she would be living her peace of mind and living her real life and enjoying the fruit of being a healthy person. Or it'll be a combination of her living that same life and then only doing things creatively that are consistent with where she is in life. AKA, somebody said, I think it was Mook said, or somebody said in the comment section, on a gospel network, on like in a place that makes sense, where her healing makes sense. Because I'm not going to say that, TV can be for anybody. All types of people are doing TV. Healthy people doing TV, dysfunctional people doing TV, creative people doing TV. So there's even a place in the market for healthy
But
content.
the thing about TV is TV always has an incentive. So she needs to get off of Instagram and TV.
Well, no, I'm not going to say she needs to get off of it because, as I also said, there are healthy people on social media, healthy people who are famous. Like, famous not just for the wow. Like, there are good people doing amazing work on TV. There are amazing therapists who have amazing brands and authors and healers and coaches who doing all.
I guess I'm more so saying, I'm sorry, get off of it in the way that she's in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rebrand yourself in a real way.
But that's why I said,
I think that's what she's doing already.
Hold on. But that's why I said what I said. It's two things she could be doing. She could go live her healthy life outside of the public eye, and then we would never hear from Chrisean again because she'll be somewhere protecting her peace and raising her child and falling in love with
Zeus wouldn't be a factor
or whatever. But if she wanted to maintain her proximity to the culture and she wanted to continue to be in media, she could also do that too, but it would be done in a healthy context. She would be doing things that make sense to.
She could reach back out to the girls who are going through what she experienced.
She could do that, or she ain't got to reach back for them hoes at all and just literally go.
Well, I feel like she's already doing it. And I think that's what the other panelist, Miss B, was saying. She's already rebranding because her rebrand is coming out as this Jesus loving, like dressed in white. I'm not sure what the premise is for her upcoming spinoff will be, but
girl, P. Diddy did that too. He said he was Brother Love.
Right, but hold on. What I'm saying is this. So she's already doing the rebranding to the best of her ability as a young girl in her early 20s. And so, like, what I always said and what I always stood by is, like, I feel like Chrisean has certain traumas that you can't pray away. Whatever, if let's just assume that this is true, what she's saying about her sister and things that she shared over the years that have happened to her, you can't, church doesn't heal that. Like, that requires actual real life professional help, like outside of prayer and outside of the church. So I think she is rebranding, but I wonder if, well, no, because I won't say that Zeus is making her rebrand this way, because she has always wore a Jesus piece and has always seemed like God was close to her, but I don't even think that she's at the age or the understanding yet where she she realizes that praying is not going to make this fire that's burning inside you go away. Like you need to go talk to someone and not someone that's provided by a TV network. If you have money, you can get private insurance, like, and you can go to it there. Honestly, like if she has money to buy these chains, she can go to a therapy session with a therapist who doesn't know anything about TV, doesn't know anything about the show, doesn't know anything about reality or TV or anything, and she can actually like go get help. But I don't know. Again, I don't know her story. I didn't grow up the way she did, so I don't know if that's even something that like is in her natural thought process. But I think her pain is going to teach her that.
I
Well,
think
there's
that.
definitely a. Go ahead, Conscious.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say there's definitely a space. People love. Contrary to popular belief, there are people that love to see people on a healing journey, getting themselves together. That is something that there's a market for that. Um, but I definitely think that she does, if she's going to get help, seek help, and still want to be a public figure, right, in the entertainment industry, she needs to have a outside professional source. But there is a space for her. Zeus is not the network to provide that
Right.
space for her. That's the bottom line. Um, she definitely can still be successful, still make the money, still make her music, and all of those things. But
Put the family in there with her.
I mean, but it starts with her first.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she um she has to leave all substance alone. Um, and honestly, I mean, the best advice that I can give her is to run from the hills, like just run from zoos. I'm pretty sure she's in contract with them right now. But as Conscious stated earlier, there are ways to get out of the contracts. Give them their money back, whatever the case may be. But she needs to run, like just get on a jet and flee from Zeus. I don't think that there is no valuable reason she may feel like she needs to because of the money. And I'm pretty sure there are other networks that are interested in Chrisean.
Mm-hmm.
They may not want 100% the liability that can come, the all of the drama, like, because there are networks that like the drama, but the level of her drama, they may be kind of like side eyeing. But she could probably more than likely actually get on national TV and not
No,
just a
you're right.
streaming.
Rumors indeed,
Yeah.
you're right, because I remember seeing Krishan and Ninja Warrior, and she was on there for her fitness and her athletic ability. So she
Hmm.
was actually, she has already been on national TV before
No, I know she
for
did that,
her. Yeah.
but I'm saying to get where she's at now. Zeus provided her with a bag that she did not get from being on the competition on reality show. But however, nonetheless, she's very marketable, even with all the toxicity that surrounds her. She's very marketable because she draws views, regardless, and when it comes to entertainment, people really aren't that concerned with how much of a liability you can be, to a large extent. There's, the percentage is very low where they refuse to work with you because you are a liability. But she needs to run. She needs to literally pull a disappearance act because Zeus is not for her. And that
And
is just the bottom line.
and I think that because like I look at, I mean, like to the therapist point, like it's a lot of shows that can that like are about that life. Like for instance, My 600 Pound Life. It is based in real life. and it's based upon people having real problems due to their complications, and then the network comes in, and in exchange for being able to follow their story, they agree to actually attempt to heal their morbid obesity, and they're given a doctor who is licensed, who can perform said surgery. They are given aftercare resources as well. Same thing for Iyanla Fix My Life. She comes into the mess, which good for TV. However, there is an agenda to do the work, and in doing the work, these people are held to task. They're also given aftercare resources as well to continue on long after the cameras wrap, long after the producers are gone, etc., because there is a intentionality that's going into the healing. There are a lot of smart producers, and more than likely we aren't seeing Chrisean Rock on other networks because she is probably locked into a Zeus contract that has her likeness bound for the next few years or however long it is. So she's probably going to have to, for the most part, whatever TV she does is going to be birthed out of the Zeus network, even if it's not her being associated with Baddies. So they're transitioning her into a God's plan and wanting to quote unquote follow her healing journey, which could be her, which can be good. Like there's a lot of Christian TV, there's a lot of ministry based TV she can do. Like even Ty said, like she ain't necessarily got to deal with any of the Zeus girls, but she can create a show. And because Zeus knows that Chrisean is a cash cow, like they could create a show where she is doing outreach for girls who come off the streets, girls who come out of dysfunctional families, helping them to get on track, helping them to get off of alcohol, helping them to get out of DV situations. I mean, there could be real good substantive TV media work because we've seen substantive TV. Like Iyanla Fix My Life is just one of those shows that encompasses all of it. The healing, the drama, all of the shit that makes for good viewership, and you don't have to negate one over the other. But you do have to lead from healing ultimately, even if you're going to sprinkle in the drama. It could all be done. But set that aside, I also do feel like Chrisean is early on in her healing journey. Therefore, with all healing journeys initially, it's shallow, it's fragile because it's new, and you haven't acquired the maturity, and you're not seasoned enough, and you're not adapted enough for some of the bigger stimuli that exist in the real world. So with her still having a relationship to Zeus, them still wanting her to do TV, and there's this transactionalness, this money aspect, etc. Like, I'm not sure if she's had enough time to mature as a person, to really get familiar with her healing, to really come into a new state of consciousness, and has the real strength it takes to really draw her lines and be able to stay true to those lines, which comes by way of familiarity, consistency, and inner growth. She was only locked up for less than a year, I think, and she's already back filming, etc. So I hope the best, but it is looking really shaky. But yeah, she can do a lot of valuable TV work. She can continue to do TV, but I do think she needs to just focus on her healing. And if she is bound by contracts and have contractual obligations, then I'm glad she's going in the direction that she's trying to go in, with like doing a whole different type of reality TV that doesn't involve her being around a bunch of other baddies and a bunch of other violence and having to be in situations where she has to fight, she has to fuss, she has to cuss, etc. And where she can just focus in on her actual life. And it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that. But I think we're all rooting for Chrisean, and we know that there's a lot of complexities there when it comes to her and who she is. And even with Tesehki is someone who needs to heal. She also needs to really, you know, I don't think it's best for her right now to be on Zeus. And it's clear, like I said, I'm not. You were shocked homebody at a baby. I'm not shocked at anything. When I tune into Zeus, nothing shocks me. I expect all of the extremity. I expect there to be preposterous components. I expect absurdity. That there's nothing that shocks me because literally we have not seen a boundary yet. You know, like Tesehki is literally still with the network that had the power to edit out all this shit that they still publish and turned into a super trailer and turned into episodes because that's how much they don't give a fuck about her either. Like, they don't care.
Well, you know what story? I don't know if you guys on the panel have seen this over the weekend or Conscious, you've seen it, but Lemmy Plummer went or did an interview where he confirmed that Janisha or Janicia is him and they're not married. So he also was asked about his relationship with Scotty in this interview. You can probably look it up. Let me just talking about Scotty. I found it on YouTube. But when you talk about like there's no boundary that surprises me yet. Yeah, when Lemmy did that interview and he said he was asked if he's married, he was like, I've never been married. And if he was asked by the host if he's with Scotty, he replied and said, I think she's very talented, she's very smart, and you know, she has things going for herself, but he never confirmed if he was with anyone, but he definitely confirmed that he's not married. And so with him and seeing him and Janisha together, looking for me like they were a couple over all these seasons and things. So I mean, yeah, nothing is unexpected now. There is no limit, but I'm telling you, I do feel like there's going to be a time, well, there will be a time
Oh,
when
we'll be hearing
this
about it in 20 years. Yeah. Like,
when this network goes down
we'll be hearing
and
an indictment against the CEOs of
yeah,
Zeus very soon. It's already
and
been enough conversation around human trafficking and
yeah, and even
sexual
further,
exploitation and the transference of STDs and all type of shit going on. So yeah, I mean,
and to
coming
take
for
it
sure.
even further, I predict that the government is going to be able to get into these apps and streaming platforms and set a limit for violence. And so I do think that there's going to be something that happens because the United States is just not going to let violence just be seen like regularly like this, even if it's an app or not, because Lemmy always wants to talk about how his app streams higher than BET, Disney Plus, MT. Like stop it, stop
What's
it.
crazy
So
is that Zeus
that's
Hey,
started
y'all,
off
hold on,
as a
y'all, hold on,
gospel
yeah.
network.
Um, after Ty say what you about to say, and please make it super quick. I got to end the live because my computer
No,
is
I was just gonna
like
say what's
it's on.
crazy
Hold
is
on,
that
y'all. Hold on. My laptop is on like 2%, so it's about to click off in a minute. So after you say what you about to say, Ty, then we're gonna close out.
I was just saying what's crazy is that Zeus started off as a gospel network. That was it.
Yeah. All right, so we got to go, y'all, because I don't want my laptop to hang, like to click off in the middle of this. But this was really great. Thank you, Ty, for coming up.
good night, everyone.
A good night, homebody. We're going to return to a part 2 of this conversation. You know, I'm sure this is not the end of it. It's going to be a lot going on. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We got Tea on Top of Tea tomorrow night on my channel, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Watch page already created. Make sure you set your reminders, thumbs up, all that good jazz. If you want to see me review the entire season of Midwest, just let me know in the comment section below. And once again, please thumbs up before you get up out of her. If you're new here, subscribe. And yeah, hit that Cash App and PayPal if you enjoy it yourself. The Cash App and PayPal is spelled just how it is on this particular platform. Conscious with 1Z TV 1V. All right. I'll see y'all later. Good night.